The silence of a humid Sydney morning was shattered not by the rising sun, but by the relentless, mechanical grinding of high-security roller doors being forced open. It was Tuesday, December 16th, and the residents of Cudden Park were waking up to a scene straight out of a blockbuster thriller. But this wasn't a movie set. It was the endgame of a meticulous operation by Task Force Falcon. The target. A man police allege sat at the very apex of the city's chaotic underworld hierarchy. As heavily armored officers from the elite Raptor Squad poured into the residence, they weren't looking for a low-level runner. They were there for the man they believe had become the Onshore Boss of the infamous Alamedine Organized Crime Network, 32-year-old Ali El Mubade. For months, investigators had been tightening a digital and physical net around the syndicate, watching as the group allegedly spiraled into a cycle of internal fracturing and external warfare. When Mubade was escorted out of his home and transferred to Burwood Police Station, it marked a significant shift in the balance of power on the streets. The allegations against him are staggering, painting a picture of a leader desperate to maintain control through fear and finality. He wasn't just picked up for the usual trafficking offenses. The slate of charges suggests a commander orchestrating a campaign to permanently eliminate his enemies. According to court documents, Mubade is facing counts of conspiracy to commit a fatal act and soliciting others to carry out the ultimate removal of two specific underworld rivals. Perhaps even more disturbing is the allegation that he recruited a child to participate in these dangerous criminal activities, signaling just how deep the network's influence had penetrated the community. Police contend that Mubade was the puppet master behind a series of ruthless plots designed to silence opposition, specifically targeting those who had betrayed the Brotherhood. To understand why the Raptor Squad moved with such force, we have to look at the vacuum of power Mubade was reportedly filling. The network's supreme leader, Alameddine, had already fled the country, believed to be directing operations from Lebanon to avoid the heat of Australian law enforcement. With the head of the snake overseas, authorities allege it was Mubade who stepped up to manage the day-to-day brutality of the business. He was the one left holding the reins as the syndicate began to turn on itself. The primary target of this alleged conspiracy was Simjan Azari, a name that will become crucial to this story. Azari wasn't a stranger. He was a former associate, an insider who knew the network's secrets but had made the dangerous decision to defect to a rival faction. In the underworld, walking away is rarely an option, and switching sides is often viewed as a capital offense. This betrayal allegedly placed a target on Azari's back, sparking a manhunt that would spill violence onto the streets of Sydney. But as we are about to see, the attempts to take Azari out didn't just fail. They resulted in collateral tragedies that drew the full weight of the state's police force down upon them. The arrest at Cudden Park was the conclusion of a long, dark chapter, but the story of how they got there involves a trail of broken alliances and near misses that defy belief. In the shadowy corridors of organized crime, loyalty is the only currency that matters. When that currency is devalued, the market crashes often, with devastating real-world consequences. The investigation into Ali Elm Mubade revealed that the Alameddine network was not battling an external enemy, but rather it was consuming itself from the inside out. A violent schism had ripped through the organization, creating a volatile civil war that turned childhood friends into sworn adversaries. The catalyst for this unraveling was the defection of Simjan Azari, a former insider who allegedly committed the ultimate betrayal. He jumped ship to join a rival faction. For the syndicate's leadership, this wasn't just a resignation, it was an act of war. Police alleged that Mubade, in his role as the onshore commander, orchestrated a relentless campaign to exact the ultimate penalty on Azari. Yet, in a twist of fate that seems almost cinematic, Azari proved to be a ghost, slipping through the fingers of his pursuers time and time again. He has survived 3 separate attempts on his life in a single year, a streak of luck that has become legendary in the underworld and a source of immense frustration for those who want him removed. The cost of this vendetta, however, has been tragically high. In May, the streets of Granville became the stage for a heart-wrenching event. A plot intended to silence Azari went terribly wrong, resulting in the loss of Dawood Zakaria. It was a case of mistaken identity or perhaps simply being in the wrong place at the wrong time. But the result was the same, a life cut short in the crossfire of a feud that had nothing to do with the victim. This fatal act did not deter the aggressors. It only seemed to make them more brazen. Just 1 month later, in June, the violence spilled into a public space, shattering the sense of safety in an Auburn kebab shop. As families and patrons sat down for a meal, a gunman walked in and opened fire. It was a scene of absolute chaos. Azari, the intended target once again, managed to flee for his life, escaping the hail of ballistics by mere seconds. The terrifying ordeal left the community shaken, proving that this internal conflict had no boundaries. Authorities describe this as tit-for-tat violence, a relentless cycle of retribution where every attack demands a response. The Alameddine network's fracture has birthed independent splinter cells, including the notorious KVT gang and an alleged Afghan crew, who are now operating with autonomy and aggression. These defectors have broken away, unleashing a wave of intense confrontations involving abductions, severe physical assaults and firebombings. The police contend that Mubade was the architect trying to bring order to this chaos by eliminating the defectors, but as the violence escalated, so did the scrutiny of Task Force Falcon. The war for control wasn't just about territory anymore, it was about survival. And while the network focused on hunting down Azari, they failed to realize that they were the ones being hunted by a dedicated team of investigators piecing together every move, every plan, and every mistake. While the vendetta against Azari grabbed the headlines, the Alamedine network was, at its core, a business and a lucrative one at that. Police allege the syndicate was an industrial-scale machine, pulling in a staggering $1 million every single week at its peak. This wasn't just street-level dealing. It was a relentless supply chain of illicit substances, flooding the market with cocaine and methamphetamine. To wash this river of cash, investigators say the group utilized a complex web of front companies, hiding behind the mundane facades of property management and tree-lopping services. They even allegedly dipped their hands into mortgage fraud and the volatile high-stakes world of the illicit tobacco trader conflict, now known as the Tobacco Wars. As Raptor Squad officers were taking Mubade into custody at Cudden Park, simultaneous raids were dismantling the network's limbs across Sydney. In Austral and Lidcombe, associates were swept up in the dragnet. Police seized significant quantities of cash, narcotics, and perhaps most tellingly, Glock gel blasters. While they might sound like toys to the uninitiated, under New South Wales law, these are classified as prohibited firearms tools of intimidation in an escalating turf war. But perhaps the most profound irony in this saga is that Ali El Mubade, the man accused of ordering the ultimate removal of his rivals, was himself living in the crosshairs. The hunter had become the hunted. In June 2025, the war came to his very doorstep on Earl Street. In a brazen drive-by attack that stunned the neighborhood, gunmen in a Porsche Macan unleashed a volley of rounds into his family home. The intent was clear, a fatal act to decapitate the network's onshore leadership. Mubade survived by a matter of minutes. He had left the property just moments before the attack to attend a bail hearing at Parramatta local court, a twist of fate, where the legal system inadvertently saved his life. The attackers, frustrated by their failure, set their getaway vehicle ablaze, a common tactic to destroy forensic evidence. However, the cleanup was amateurish. Police later apprehended several suspects, including teenagers found in a crashed, stolen car packed with fuel cans, bleach, and Weponsa cleanup kit, for a job that went spectacularly wrong. Now, with the Onshore Boss refused bail, and facing a heavy slate of charges, the Alamedine network is in a state of perilous flux. The Supreme Court had previously allowed him some freedom, but those days are over. The crackdown has left a power vacuum that rivals are eager to fill, and the internal fracture has turned former allies into bitter enemies. Task Force Falcon has made it clear, this arrest isn't the end. It's just the beginning of the end for the syndicate. As the investigation continues to peel back the layers of this criminal onion, one thing is certain, in the Sydney underworld, the price of power is always paid in paranoia.